Hi guys, I'm here today to do a little cooking tutorial, and what we're going to be making is salmon cakes. As you can all see, here is the can of salmon that you're going to need, and these are the other ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need an Old Bay seasoning, or salt and pepper, and like Italian seasoning would be good. If you don't have Old Bay, then use that preferably. Or like, you can put a little bit of like, I guess, seasonal salt too, or something instead of salt. Okay, then you're going to need either breadcrumbs or crackers. You don't need both. And then you're going to need an oil. I'm using vegetable oil to fry this in. You can use any type of oil that you would like. It's because you have to have the pan, and it has to be oiled for them to fry up right. Okay, so basically this is an inexpensive meal. I got the can of salmon at the dollar store. You can get it anywhere you want, but I paid like $1 or $2 for it. I think $1. And then the Old Bay seasoning is a few dollars. It's about $5. It's kind of a little more than that, maybe. It's on the expensive side, but it's a nice seasoning, and it's usually on the East Coast that we have this seasoning. Okay, and then breadcrumbs or crackers, they're preferably cheap, and the vegetable oil is a few dollars. And then you're going to need, of course, a skillet of some type, and you want it to be somewhat deep. This is a little thin, but I'm used to doing it, so I'm not going to burn myself. But you might want to make it a little thicker for the first time if you're frying in a deeper pan. Okay, and then you're going to need a bowl to mix it in, and a can opener. So let's get started. And okay, so let me just move this stuff down. Okay, so you open up your salmon, right? Which I've already done, so I'm just like showing you. And then what you're going to need to do is drain your salmon, okay? So just hold on a second and I'll show you this. Okay, so basically we've taken the lid off of our salmon, and it has oil in there, so basically, or juices. I don't know if it's oil, if it's just liquid. It's basically both. It's from the salmon to keep the salmon watery, and it kind of marinates it, so it's kind of good. But I really like canned salmon. I don't know why, but I just grew up on it because it was a cheaper form of salmon, and it's what we could afford. But this is a really good recipe. So, and now, if you notice, there are some bones in here, but the bones are crushable and they are edible. You do not have to worry about removing them. They are good calcium for you, so go ahead and just dump that into your bowl. Okay, get rid of your can. Probably rinse your sink out, but I'll do that later. And then, we're going to go ahead and crush it up. Let me get something, hold on. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is take the salmon and just crush it up with your fork and break it down. So just go ahead and keep doing that until you get it to little itty bitty pieces. Probably it's easier if you get a smaller fork and you just keep crushing it down like so until it isn't like nothing. It's just mushy. And like little, take the big chunks and make little pieces out of them. Okay? So now we're going to add our Old Bay, and I've opened up the big hole, one of the bigger holes, not the biggest hole, but a big slider hole instead of just a shaker. And you're just going to pour a bunch of that in there. Like, you just eyeball it. Like, you don't want to put way too much, but I put like about, a little more. I like it spicy. Okay? You don't want to put too much, it'll get too salty. Okay? So after that, mix that up. Okay, you're going to need 2 eggs. No, you're just going to need 1 egg. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and crack this egg, which I've already done. And you just go ahead and dump it in. And get rid of that. And then, I always wash my hands off after I touch eggs. And before I touch eggs. And I wash the egg off too. Okay, and then you take your breadcrumbs. And you're going to crush them down into cracker crumbs. And you just keep crushing them. You can use a rolling pin, but I just use my hands. And you just crush them up, and you keep them in little, you don't have to put them in an extra baggie, or you can, like a Ziploc if it's more less convenient, but I just do it right in the package until they're mushy. And then I just go ahead and I dump them in. Hold on a second. This is kind of shaky. Okay, so I dump them in. Okay. It's half a pack of crackers that I'm using for 1 can. A little more than a half a pack. I didn't use the whole pack. I just used the half a pack that I had. Okay, so then you're going to want to go ahead and mix that up. Or you could use your breadcrumbs. And if you're going to use your breadcrumbs, just use about that much too. It's about half of about a cup, almost a half a cup to a little more than a half a cup. Okay, so go ahead and mix it up and we'll be right back. Okay, so you're going to need your vegetable oil. After you get it all mixed up, it's going to look like yay. Really mixed up. Okay, so then you're going to need your vegetable oil and you're going to pour it in your pan. You're going to want to get a pan about yay big. It doesn't matter what size you use, but go ahead and turn your palette light on. Like you know how to start the stove, I'm sure. And I just keep it on medium high. And then go ahead and pour your oil in. And you want to use about you want it to be about a little deep, but not too deep. So I'm going to use, I'll show you, about 1/4 of a cup of oil. You can see in the pan how much I've put in there. Okay, so it's only about half of an inch deep. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do now is let that heat up, and then I'm going to move back over here to our salmon cakes, and I'm going to start using my hands to mix up the salmon. Okay, so you want to take your hands and make a salmon cake. Okay, so what you do is you just kind of eyeball it and take your hands and smush it to where it's like yay big. Okay, so that's that big. See how big that is? That's how big you want your salmon cakes to be. You can make them preferably any size you want, but go ahead and do that. And then we're going to wait for our oil to heat up, and we'll be right back. So we're back, and we've made our salmon cakes. Go ahead and wash your hands off and all. And just make sure you wash your hands before you do it too, okay? You want clean hands. But anyway, go ahead and mix up your salmon cakes. And I made about 5 salmon cakes out of 1 can. So you don't want them too big, not too thick. Just like mediocre size, about the palm of your hand. Okay, so once your oil heats up, just take a little sprinkle of water and kind of like flick it off your hand like that, and you'll know if the oil is hot, if it bubbles. Okay, or just take a little piece of this and drop it in, and you'll know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start placing my cakes in the oil. Like so. Okay, so they're going to fry up, and you just let them keep frying. And they're going to fry until they get golden brown. So the tools I'm getting is some crab claw, I guess that's salad tongs. I call them crab claws. But so silicone to flip those easily, so because it's wider and based. You need to flip them once they get harder because they're going to get crispy. And or you can do it with the spatula if you're pretty good at flipping stuff without getting it all over the place. When you flip them, you don't want to squeeze them too hard, or you will break them apart. So what you want to do is slide the tongue under and just basically look to see if they're getting golden brown. And they are, so we're going to have flip them. Okay, so just get under them and basically look and flip. Okay, so basically, and I have this on medium high, and just flip. And go ahead and get your last one. This has got to be the most difficult one because it's the thickest one. Okay, so we're going to flip them and just let them cook a little more. They cook really fast. Now it's on high heat. I moved it down. I didn't realize. Okay, my arm must have hit it, but it's on high heat. That's why it's cooking up really fast. Okay, so I'm just turning it down just a little bit because I don't want this oil splattering all over the place. So they cook up basically pretty fast. It's a really quick meal if you're in a rush and you need to make something good and wholesome for your family, and you want to feed them fish, but you do not want to spend the extra money. You can use the canned salmon. I grew up on it, and I grew up pretty healthy, so it's a budget-friendly meal. So go ahead and let these fry up, and then once they're done, we're going to go ahead and take them out once they're completely golden brown. Let me just check. Just see. A few more seconds. So we're just going to wait, and we'll be right back. So basically we have 5 cakes here, so you can either have 1 per person, or if you have 2 kids, a wife and a husband, husband can have 2, or the child, whatever you prefer. And then, or yourself, but I basically wouldn't eat that much, but I usually just eat 1. Okay, so, just go ahead and they're going to fry up, and then once they're fried, you're going to need a paper towel on a plate, and let me get this up. And okay, so basically we're going to go ahead and turn our oil off, and then we're going to come back up and start removing our salmon cakes. And you're going to let the oil drain off a little bit and bring them over to our paper towel on a plate to let the oil absorb into the paper towel. Okay? So just remove them from the oil, let it drip, and bring them over to the paper towel. Take them from the oil to the plate and let them drip off in the pan and then over on the paper towel. Okay, so if you have any little crispy critters, just get them out too, so they don't burn up. Okay, so we're going to turn our oil off and set that aside back on our back burner to finish cooling. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to our next dish. So just, if you want to, you can put these in your microwave to keep them warm. So that's what I'm going to do, and bring them out when I finish the rest of my meal. So we're going to move on to the next part of the meal, and I'll be right back. Now we're going to be making our pierogi, and our pierogies are frozen pierogies, and they're for Mrs. T's, and you get them in the frozen section. And these are potato and cheese cheddar pierogies, and this is a Polish European food, which I grew up on because half my family is Polish. So usually they make these homemade, but I buy them frozen because I'm not sitting in the kitchen all day. So basically what they look like is a little pastry that's frozen, but they're not. You can put like fruits and all in them too and make them fried, but we're going to go ahead and boil them because they have potato and cheddar in them. And they're really good with sauerkraut and stuff in them too. So what you want to do is go ahead and get a saucepan about yay deep and fill that up with water. So that's what I'm doing, and I'll be right back. So basically I've got the pan full, not even halfway, but a little bit of halfway, almost halfway up with water, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. So I turned it up on high, and once this starts to boil up, we'll put the pierogi in. But back to the pierogies. Okay, so you can get these with sauerkraut in them. You can, and that is delicious, or cheddar, onion, and potato, but these are just potato and cheese, but you can also get them with plums or fruit in them, and it is a delicacy. So it's a very fashionable food over in the Europeans, so it's just something I wanted to introduce to you all. It's a great dish, and everybody kind of grabs onto them because their potato and cheese are the easiest ones to get along with a lot of different meals, because instead of making macaroni and cheese, you can have this, and it doesn't have that much cheese in it. It's just a little bit of cheese. So basically you want to let the water start to become to a boil, and then we're going to place them in, okay? So we're going to go ahead and start pulling these out, and I'm going to put them right into the water. Just drop them down in there. Okay, so I'll take 2 more and drop them down into the water. 2 more. Drop them down into the water. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. Let me see. 10. 12. So this will be 4 per person. 3. Okay, so that's how many I'm going to put in there. So we'll be right back after they boil up, and then once they float to the top, they'll be finished. Once the consistency is all heated up inside, the pierogi will raise to the top of the water, and that's how you know when they're done. Okay, so then we're going to move along to our next dish, which is beets, and I'm just going to use canned beets because it's easier right now. So I love beets. Beets are very good for you. I can't get enough of these things. I put them in smoothies and everything. They are awesome. They give you so many different vitamins. So I'm going to be using the canned ones, which are good. So unless you like pickled beets or whatever, however you prefer them. Okay, so, and what you do is you go ahead and you open your canned beets, and then you pour them in a saucepan, which I'm going to be using this one, but you can use a smaller one. So I'm going to go ahead and open my can of beets and pour them in here. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so basically I'm going to go ahead and let the juice drain out of the beets, and just hold it with my fingers so it don't slide off. Just get all that juice out, well, most of it, because you don't want to get it out all over the place. You don't really need that to cook them. So what you want to do is go ahead and put them down in the pan, and then we're just going to heat them up. Okay, just leave a little bit of juice, not a lot. And so we're just going to go ahead and heat them up, and we'll be right back. Check on our pierogies. They're coming to the boil a little bit, but not much yet, so just let them continue to cook. And then we're going to move over to our saucepan over here. It's a casserole dish, and I use this to put the pierogies in after they are cooked. So what you're going to do is go ahead and take the lid off of that, and you're going to have that, like, yay, it's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches deep. Okay, so and what you're going to do is go ahead and melt some butter in here. So, I'm just going to get some butter and put it in there. So, or margarine, whatever you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some butter. So, you're going to take the butter. So, let's just put it right on the dish. Okay, so we're going to take the butter and drop the butter down in there. About half a stick. Okay, and you let that melt. So just like let that go around and melt. You can put a little more if you want. I put a little more because I like them really buttery. Okay, and if you want, you can put salt and pepper on them too when they're done. So go ahead and let that butter melt down into the dish, and we'll be right back. So basically, we've got our pierogies here. They're all done, and what we're going to do is go ahead and drain them into a drainer. So you just want to, I don't want all this thing to get in the camera. So I'm just using a little strainer, and don't look at my dirty sink. Okay, so just go ahead and drain them off, and I'll be right back. We got our drained perogies that we drained our fluid all off of, and we're just gonna take them and put them into our butter dish here. So just slide them on down, and what you want to do is go ahead and let them start sauteing in the butter, and then just mix them around in the butter a little bit, and you just turn the butter off once it's melted, and you just keep the dish will stay hot because it's a casserole, and you mix them around, and then you put the lid on it, and you go ahead and keep it warm for your rest of your meal. But your beets should be done by now, so we're going to get the meal all together here. I'll be right back. Okay, so basically here's our meal, and it's done. We've got our salmon cakes, and they are still warm. So, and we've got our sauteed perogies in our casserole, and then we have our heated beets. And if you want to, leave a little more liquid in so they don't get too dry, okay? So, there you go. There's your meal. Serve it up, eat it, and that's your 30-minute meal for the night. And it's a budget dollar store meal. And you can probably get your perogies at a regular grocery store, though. Okay, but the beets and the salmon you can get basically at a dollar store or anywhere. More expensive than that, but I go to the dollar store because it's cheapest. Okay, and mackerel is something like a salmon cake, so you can use that too instead. Alright, so have a blast and enjoy your meal, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.